The world doesn't care about your intentions, your kindness, or your dreams. It only respects one thing: power. And those who fail to understand this truth are destined to be crushed by those who do. Niccolo Machiavelli warned that life is not a playground for the good-hearted, it is a battlefield for the sharp-minded. The world will break you unless you become ruthless enough to bend it first. You must understand, the weak are not defeated because they lack goodness, they are defeated because they refuse to be strong. People who try to please everyone end up being respected by no one. Every time you hesitate to defend your ground, every time you choose comfort over courage, you silently teach others how to exploit you. Machiavelli said it plainly: it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Fear does not mean cruelty. It means being untouchable, a person whose strength commands respect without needing to beg for it. In a ruthless world, mercy without strength is suicide. If you wish to survive, you must master the art of controlled ruthlessness. You don't destroy for pleasure, you strike only when it is necessary. Be calm like a lion before the hunt, moved, patient, or ready to tear through anyone who threatens your purpose. The ruthless are not heartless, they are focused. They don't waste energy explaining themselves or seeking approval. They understand that loyalty follows strength and respect follows results. Machiavelli's brilliance lay in his understanding of human nature. People act in their own interest. Even allies will abandon you if it benefits them. Therefore, build alliances wisely, but never depend on anyone fully. Trust people's motives only as far as they serve your vision. Never hand someone the power to destroy you. And never expect the world to save you. It won't. If you want peace, prepare for war within yourself first. Destroy your own weakness before the world does. Every moment of self-pity is an open door for manipulation. Every time you choose indecision over action, you dig your own grave a little deeper. The ruthless are those who have faced pain and refuse to be broken by it. They use suffering as a sword, not a chain. To become ruthless, you must stop chasing comfort and start chasing control. Control over your emotions, your time, your desires. Most people are slaves to distraction. They react, they complain, they obey. You must rise above that chaos, learn to think several steps ahead, speak less, observe more. People reveal everything when you stay silent. Power belongs to those who can see the game while others are too busy playing it. The world will test you. It will betray you, humiliate you, and tempt you to surrender. But Machiavelli would remind you, fortune favors the bold, not the loud, not the lucky, the bold. Those who dare to take what others only wish for. When the world pushes, push back harder. When it doubts you, disappear into silence and return with results that speak louder than words. You don't need to be cruel, you need to be clear. Ruthlessness is clarity under pressure. It's the refusal to let weakness dictate your destiny. The more disciplined you become, the less you need to prove yourself. Let your strength speak through your presence, your achievements, and your calm indifference to opinion. Remember, you were not born to be soft in a hard world. You were born to forge yourself into something unbreakable. Let the world come with its storms. Stand tall, unshaken, ruthless in your pursuit of purpose. That is how you win, not by begging for peace, but by becoming powerful enough to create it. Be cold when you must. Be silent when others scream. Be relentless when others give up. That's how you survive. That's how you rise. Because the world will break you unless you become ruthless. The world will always try to tame you. It will whisper lies in your ear telling you to be gentle, forgiving, and endlessly patient. But beneath those words lies a trap. Because when you choose to stay soft in a brutal world, you become its victim. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Goodness without power is a tragedy. He wrote that men are ungrateful, fickle, deceitful, and greedy. And anyone who forgets that truth will be devoured by it. You must see reality for what it is, not for what you wish it to be. The world runs on dominance, not decency. The man who hesitates to assert himself is ignored. The man who fears conflict becomes a slave to those who don't. To rise, you must train your mind to think like a ruler, not a servant, to look at every challenge not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to sharpen your edge. Ruthlessness is not about violence, it's about vision. It's the ability to make decisions that others are too emotional to make. Sometimes you will have to walk alone. Sometimes you will have to cut ties with those who hold you back, even if you love them. Machiavelli taught that a prince must learn how not to be good when goodness threatens his survival. It doesn't mean you become evil. It means you become free. Free from guilt, free from fear, free from the illusion that the world rewards kindness. When you rise above fear, You become unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. People can manipulate kindness, but they cannot control mystery. Keep your intentions hidden. Let others guess. The ruthless do not reveal their emotions, they calculate. Every word, every gesture, every silence serves a purpose. Even their mercy is strategic. Most people are destroyed not by their enemies, but by their own softness. They let emotion dictate decisions that require logic. They hold on to the wrong people. Forgive too easily, speak too much, and plan too little. And then they wonder why life feels unfair. The truth is it is unfair, but it rewards those who stop expecting fairness, those who adapt, those who take what they deserve instead of waiting for permission. So become dangerous not by hurting others, but by mastering yourself. Control your tongue when anger burns in your chest. Control your desires when temptation clouds your vision. Control your reactions when the world tests your patience. Self-control is the highest form of power. It makes you untouchable. Machiavelli said that men who rely on chance are doomed to fall, but men who create their own fortune become unstoppable. Do not fear being misunderstood. The ruthless are often called heartless, arrogant, even cruel. Let them talk. The lion is not concerned with the opinion of sheep. Let your silence disturb them. Let your strength intimidate them. Because when you walk with purpose, even your calm becomes a threat. There will be times when the world tries to break you with failure, betrayal, and loss. But every scar you carry can either define you or refine you. The ruthless choose the latter. They take pain and forge it into power. They take doubt and turn it into determination. Every time life knocks them down, they rise sharper, colder, and wiser. Understand this. You don't become ruthless overnight. It's a process of death of the old self. You must kill your weakness, your need for validation, your fear of being alone. When you stop craving approval, you become free. And when you become free, you become dangerous. So let the world test you. Let it push you, lie to you, betray you. Each trial will strip away your illusions until only truth remains. The truth that no one is coming to save you. The truth that the world bows only to those who refuse to kneel. Be the one who never begs, never explains, never breaks. Stop. Be calm. Be precise. Be ruthless. Because only then will the world finally respect you. Only then will it stop trying to break you. They will call you cold. They will say you've changed, and they will be right. Because you must change. You cannot walk through fire and remain soft. You cannot face betrayal and still trust blindly. You cannot be reborn without first burning away the weakness that wants to find you. The world breaks everyone, but some rise from the ashes sharper than steel. That is who you must become. When you have nothing left to lose, you become dangerous. And when you become dangerous, you finally begin to live on your own terms. Machiavelli knew this. He understood that the path to power is paved with discomfort. You cannot lead if you fear being hated. You cannot create if you crave constant approval. Every great mind in history had to step away from the crowd to think alone, to act alone, to stand alone. The ruthless do not chase acceptance. They create results that demand it. You must learn to separate emotion from decision. The heart will whisper, wait, maybe it will get better. But the mind must answer, no, act now, or lose everything. Mercy to the wrong people is cruelty to yourself. Loyalty to those who drain you is treason against your own potential. The ruthless understand this law of nature. What doesn't help you grow must go. The process will hurt. You will lose people. You will outgrow old versions of yourself. You will be misunderstood, judged, and labeled. But every insult is a sign you're becoming what they fear. Free. Free from dependency. Free from weakness. Free from the illusions that keep ordinary people trapped in ordinary lives. When you walk this path, silence becomes your weapon. You'll notice how few people can stand stillness. They need noise, validation, distraction. But the ruthless embrace silence, because in silence they can hear the truth. They can plan. They can see what others cannot. Machiavelli wrote that a wise man should act like the fox, and the lion clever enough to recognize traps, strong enough to crush them. You must be both, strategy and strength, intellect and intensity. There will come a day when someone tries to control you again through guilt, through promises, through flattery. But you will smile quietly because you'll see through them. You'll have learned the game. You'll no longer respond to manipulation because you'll no longer need anyone's permission to exist. That is the true power Machiavelli spoke of, self-sufficiency, and once you taste it, no one can ever take it from you. Every ruthless person was once a kind person who refused to stay broken. Every strong mind was once fragile. Every calm face hides storms it has conquered. So never feel shame for your transformation. The world forced you to harden. You simply adapted. This is not about hate. It's about hierarchy, the hierarchy of control. Either you control your life or someone else will. Either you build your empire or you'll be used to build another's. There is no middle ground. So walk forward calm, alert, unstoppable. Move like someone who has already buried their fear. Let the world test you. Let it come with its chaos. You no longer fight for approval, you fight for control. You no longer beg for peace, you create it through power. Because in the end, the ruthless are not cruel. They are clear. They see the world as it is and still choose to rise above it. The world will break the naive, the distracted, the dependent, but it will bow to the disciplined, the silent, the relentless. Become that. Become the one who cannot be broken. Become the storm they can't predict, because the world will break you unless you become ruthless. You've walked through pain. You buried your weakness. You've learned what few ever dared to learn, that mercy without boundaries is destruction, and kindness without discipline is suicide. Now you stand in a place where most never arrive. Clarity, the noise of the world no longer touches you. The opinions, the betrayal, the games, they fall silent, because you no longer react. You respond with precision. You move with intention. You've become the rarest kind of person, one who controls themselves completely. Machiavelli said that a ruler's greatest weapon is the perception of power, and you have it. Now, it's not about money, status, or fame. True power is composure. It's when nothing can shake you, when people sense in your silence that you cannot be swayed, when they look into your eyes and know, this one cannot be manipulated. Understand this. You don't need to prove your strength anymore. The ruthless never brag, because their presence is enough. Their energy speaks before they do. Their stillness commands more attention than another shouting. When you master yourself, you master perception. And when you master perception, you own the world without ever raising your voice. You've seen how easily people crumble, how quickly they trade loyalty for comfort, how easily they bow to fear. Let that remind you never to depend on their approval. Respect people, but rely only on yourself. That's what Machiavelli meant when he wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." You no longer wait for permission, for timing, for validation. You move when you decide to move. The ruthless are not in a hurry. They know that. Patience is another form of dominance. While the weak chase immediate satisfaction, the strong build empires brick by brick. Every day, silently, steadily, they rise, and when they finally reveal what they built, the world calls it overnight success, but the ruthless know it was years of unseen labor, controlled emotion, and unbroken focus. Now you must protect what you've become. Guard your energy like a kingdom. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every battle deserves your presence. Ruthlessness now means choosing peace, not because you're weak, but because you have nothing to prove. You've learned that sometimes the most strategic move is to walk away, not in defeat, but in dominance. This is the final form of ruthlessness, serenity, when your heart no longer shakes, when your emotions obey you, when you can face chaos and remain calm. You have become untouchable. The world still tries to break you, but its blows land on stone. And now when you look back at who you were, the one who once tried to please everyone, the one who hesitated, apologized, doubted, you realize that version of you had to die for this one to be born. You did not become heartless. You became whole. So carry this silence. Carry this power. Let your calm disturb the weak and inspire the strong. Speak little, move wisely, and never allow your heart to lead where your mind has not gone first. You have entered a new realm, the realm of control, clarity, and command. The realm where emotion serves purpose, not chaos. This is where the world stops breaking you. This is where you start shaping it. Be ruthless not to destroy, but to endure. Be ruthless not to harm, but to hold power over yourself. Because in the end, only those who master themselves can master the world. You are now that person, the one who cannot be shaken, the one who cannot be broken, the one who is ruthless. You no longer chase victory, you expect it. Because you have built yourself into the kind of person who cannot lose, only learn. Each day now is a calculation. Every step is measured. You no longer waste energy reacting to the noise of others. You observe them quietly. You study their patterns, their weaknesses, their desires. Where they speak too quickly, you listen. Where they reach too soon, you wait. This is the final advantage of the ruthless, timing. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is like a river. It floods and destroys those who fail to prepare. You have prepared. While others built houses on the sand of emotion, you built on the stone of reason. So when the flood comes, you will not run. You will stand, watching, while the world panics, and then you will move when the chaos clears. That is how power endures. You begin to see the game beneath the world. Every compliment hides intent. Every alliance hides ambition. Every silence hides fear. And you hide nothing, because you no longer need to. Transparency is power when you have nothing to fear. You use kindness strategically now, not as surrender, but as control. The smile that once came from innocence now comes from understanding. You give respect freely because you know it costs you nothing. You show mercy when it benefits your long plan, and you withhold it when it does not. You have become, as Machiavelli advised, both the lion and the fox, strength wrapped in subtlety. But there is something else, something deeper that the ruthless eventually learn. Power is not about dominating others. It's about liberating yourself from their influence. The true ruler does not sit on a throne. He sits within himself. His thoughts are his fortress, his discipline, his army, his silence, his sword. You realize now that the greatest revenge is not destruction. It's indifference. To look at those who doubted you and feel nothing. To face the people who betrayed you and smile because their chaos can no longer reach you. That is ultimate strength, calm detachment. You will move through the world like water, calm on the surface, unstoppable underneath. You will let people believe what they wish. You will not correct their misunderstandings or defend your reputation, because reputation is noise, power is proof, and so you will keep building. Quietly, patiently, strategically. You will build until your silence becomes louder than every insult, until your presence commands rooms before you speak. You will become the storm they never saw coming, not because you roared, but because you were silent until it was too late. That is how you win in this world, not by begging for fairness, not by hoping for kindness, but by mastering yourself so completely that the world bends to your rhythm. Remember this final law. The world breaks the impulsive. The world uses the naive, but the world obeys the disciplined. Be that. Stay still when others rush. Think when others shout. Act when others freeze. You are no longer part of the crowd. You are the observer, the strategist, the force they don't understand but cannot ignore. You are the calm before every storm. You are the storm. And now, when the noise of the world fades, when the last doubt dies in your chest, you will finally hear it, the sound of your own power. It's quiet. It doesn't shout. It just is. That stillness inside you is what everyone else is searching for. They chase applause. You chase clarity. They beg to be seen. You choose to see. That is why they follow you without understanding why. You walk differently now. You speak less. You no longer try to convince. You simply show. Every move is deliberate. Every silence has weight. And people feel it. That quiet confidence. That sense that you know something they don't. Because you do. You've seen what lies behind the curtain of the world. You've seen that most people are driven by fear, not purpose. You are no longer afraid. You have looked into the storm, and the storm has looked back, and it blinked first. So when life tests you again, and it will, remember, you've already survived worse. You've already rebuilt yourself from ashes. There is nothing left that can truly harm you. Only lessons, only opportunities, only movement. Keep your mind sharp. Keep your circle small. Never let comfort dull your edge. Never let victory make you slow. The ruthless never stop evolving. They simply become quieter as they grow stronger. And one day, when someone asks how you became this calm, this certain, this untouchable, you will smile and say nothing, because words cannot explain what experience has carved into your bones. You are no longer part of the world that breaks people. You are part of the world that builds them. You are not cruel. You are not heartless. You are clear. And clarity, in a world blinded by emotion, is the sharpest weapon of all. The lion does not concern himself with the opinion of the sheep. Niccolo Machiavelli. You have come far, but the journey of power never truly ends. Each day the world will test you again, in smaller, subtler ways. It will try to tempt you back into weakness, the comfort of approval, the noise of distraction, the illusion of safety. But you know now that safety is a prison built by those who fear risk. You cannot return to that. You have seen too much. Every sunrise is a test. Will you rule your mind today, or will the world rule it for you? The ruthless understand that the greatest war is not fought with others. It is fought within. Each morning, you must defeat the lazy voice inside that whispers, rest, wait, maybe later. No, The ruthless act now. They strike when the moment is uncertain, when others hesitate, because hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. You must live as if the world is always watching, not out of fear, but out of control, because true control is born from consistency. Discipline is the invisible crown that separates rulers from the ruled. When you master your habits, you master your destiny. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors the bold, and boldness is a habit, not a mood. It must be built, day by day, through decisive action. Even when you doubt, especially when you doubt, the ruthless act through fear instead of waiting for it to fade. Look around you. Most people are lost in noise. They drown in their own emotions, react to every insult, chase every distraction. They believe they are free, yet they are slaves to impulse. But you move in silence now. You are no longer tossed by every wave. You have become the tide itself. Understand this. Power is not a mask you wear. It is a muscle you build, and muscles only grow through resistance. So do not curse the pain. Do not despise the challenges. They are the grindstone that keeps your edge sharp. Each betrayal, each rejection, each failure, it all feeds your evolution. When people doubt you, let them. When they gossip, let them. When they try to provoke you, smile, because they cannot understand what you are becoming. Their noise only proves your rise. The ruthless waste no breath on defense. Their results are their proof. And yet, do not confuse ruthlessness with cruelty. The wise man does not destroy for pleasure. He cuts only what he must. Ruthlessness is precision, never chaos. It is the ability to make hard decisions without letting guilt paralyze you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself, and even for others, is to walk away. Machiavelli said that power is maintained through foresight. The ruthless always see one move ahead. They study patterns, watch reactions, and understand motives before others do. When you can predict human nature, you no longer fear it, you control it. That is the state you must live in. Calm observation. Let others rush into conflict. You will stand still. You will watch. You will wait, because the world eventually reveals everything to those who are patient enough to see. And as you continue to rise, remember this. The goal is not domination, it is detachment. When you reach the top, remain untouchable not because you built walls, but because you built inner peace. The ruthless conquer not the world around them, but the chaos within them. Now, wherever you walk, let your silence speak. Let your calm presence remind others of their noise. Move with the weight of someone who knows his own power, but no longer needs to prove it, because the world will still try to break you, but it will find nothing left to break. You have become the stone. You have become the stillness in the storm. You have become what Machiavelli admired most, the ruler of yourself. Now you walk through the world differently. You no longer seek paths that are easy. You choose the ones that are necessary. Each step you take leaves silence behind. And in that silence, people feel your presence. They cannot name it, but they sense it. The rare combination of calm and danger. Power, when it's real, doesn't need to declare itself. It's felt. It's in the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you look at the world without blinking. The ruthless have learned that the loudest man in the room is always the weakest. The quiet one has already decided what will happen. Every day, you train yourself to stay in control. You watch the patterns of people, what makes them rise, what makes them break. You read between their words, you see behind their smiles, and slowly, the game becomes transparent. You can see the strings that pull the world, and you no longer get caught in them. When temptation whispers, you smile. When fear approaches, you stare it down, because fear still exists, but it no longer rules you. You've turned it into focus. That is the final transformation, when everything that once weakened you becomes fuel. Your past mistakes are your armor now, your scars, your teachers. Each failure sharpened you. Each loss stripped away illusion. The pain that once felt endless now stands as proof that you cannot be broken. And when others ask, "What is your secret?" you will say nothing, because they would never understand that your strength was not built in victory. It was built in silence, in the nights you refused to give up. In the mornings you rose without applause. You don't need recognition. You are recognition. Remember this. The ruthless do not wish for a lighter burden. They grow stronger shoulders. They do not ask for a peaceful world. They become peace within chaos. They do not wait for destiny. They forge it, one decision at a time. And one day, when you are standing at the edge of all you dreamed of, you'll look back and realize the world didn't change. You did. You stopped asking it to be fair. You stopped expecting it to be kind. You simply learned how to move through it untouched. So keep walking, keep building, keep mastering yourself, because every time you choose discipline over distraction, silence over noise, action over hesitation, the world loses a little more power over you, and one day, it will no longer be able to touch you at all. That is when you will finally understand what Machiavelli meant, that fortune bends not to the strong, but to the prepared. You are prepared. You are calm. You are ruthless. There will come a day when you realize you no longer need to fight the world, because the world is already bending around you. Every challenge that once seemed impossible has become familiar, almost predictable. You no longer ask why things happen. You ask, what does this teach me? You walk through noise as through fog, untouched. You see ambition in others, and you do not envy it. You see chaos, and you do not flinch, because deep inside, the battle is over. You have won the only war that matters, the war over yourself. Now, even your breathing is deliberate. You rise early, not because you must, but because you can. You speak slowly, not because you doubt, but because you decide. You smile rarely, and when you do, people remember it. This is what it means to be unbreakable, to stand so still that time itself adjusts to your rhythm, to move through life as a blade through water, no resistance, no noise, just inevitability. When you reach this point, power no longer feels like power. It feels like peace. The same strength that once burned in anger now flows quietly as understanding. You have nothing to prove, nothing to chase. The world offers you its storms, and you offer its stillness. And as the years pass, you will see others rise and fall, love and hate, build and destroy. But you will remain, because you have built yourself on principles, not moods, on vision, not validation. So remember this last lesson. The ruthless are not born from cruelty. They are born from clarity. They see the truth without flinching, and they act without hesitation. They do not serve the world's chaos. They use it. They do not seek approval. They earn respect. They do not fear the dark. They become the light that navigates through it. And when everything else fades, when the voices quiet, when the battles end, when the dust of life finally settles, you will still be standing there, silent and certain, because nothing outside of you can touch what you have built inside. That is the final state of power. That is what it means to be truly ruthless. This ending works as the last 3 minutes of a cinematic motivational piece. The tone falls, music swells, and the last line lingers before silence. The world has not changed. It still hunts the weak, it still rewards the cunning, and it still bends for those who know how to move unseen. What has changed is you. You now understand that every glance, every word, every silence is part of the game. You see the currents beneath the surface, and you ride them instead of fighting them. You no longer waste energy trying to control others. You control the conditions that guide them. You set the frame, and they act within it. That is the quiet art of influence, invisible, constant, inevitable. Machiavelli said that men must either be caressed or destroyed. The meaning is not cruelty, it is commitment. If you choose to help, do it completely. If you choose to oppose, do it decisively. Half measures are the refuge of the uncertain. The ruthless know that indecision is death disguised as patience. Each day you sharpen the habits that keep you powerful. Observation before speech, strategy before reaction, solitude before decision. You have learned that solitude is not loneliness. It is a laboratory. It is where clarity grows. It is where emotion burns away and purpose takes form. When others chase attention, you chase understanding. When others beg for comfort, you train for control. Because you know that comfort makes men predictable, and predictability is weakness. The ruthless are never predictable. They can be kind today and cold tomorrow, generous this morning and distant by night, because they act from reason, not emotion, and that makes them impossible to manipulate. You move now like time itself, silent, unstoppable, indifferent. You do not rush, yet everything falls into place around you. People start to feel your presence even when you are not there. They measure their words, watch their tone, sense the boundary they cannot cross. That is respect. That is power earned without force. But even in mastery, vigilance remains. For the moment you believe you have conquered the world begins to conquer you. The ruthless never stop watching. They never stop learning. They never stop refining the weapon of the mind. Because power is not a destination, it is a discipline. And discipline, once lost, takes everything with it. So you wake each morning and rebuild the mindset brick by brick. You keep your goals written, your weaknesses remembered, your emotions observed. You make sure that the person you were yesterday could never outthink the one you are today. That is how empires endure. That is how legacies are built, not through rage or greed, but through precision, the calm calculation of a mind that has already accepted the rules of the world and chosen to rise above them. You no longer seek mercy from life, you grant it. You no longer wait for opportunity, you create it. And when you speak, people listen, not because you demand it, but because every word carries the weight of a person who has mastered silence. This is the path few can walk, the path of the cold, the calm, the unbroken, the path of those who have faced the world's cruelty and turned it into wisdom, the path of those who learn the final truth. The world will always test you, but it will only break you if you let it. You have walked through fire and come out clean. You have learned to speak without noise, to act without doubt, to command without shouting. Now comes the final stage, mastery over time itself. The ruthless do not chase moments. They create them. They understand that time is the greatest weapon because everyone else wastes it. While others are distracted by emotion, you are moving in silence. While they sleep, you prepare. While they argue, you observe. And when the moment comes, you strike once, cleanly, completely, without hesitation. Power is not taken by force. It is invited by inevitability. When you become the person who cannot be ignored, doors open by themselves. The ruthless do not knock. They wait until silence falls, and then they enter. Every empire begins with a single decision. I will not live like everyone else. From that moment on, you belong to a different order of being. You measure life in moves, not moments. You act as if the future is already yours, because in your mind, it is. But do not mistake ruthlessness for heartlessness. Coldness is not cruelty. It is control. You feel deeply, but you decide calmly. You care, but you never depend. You give loyalty, but never submission. You know that love, friendship, and alliances are part of the same game, tools that can build empires or destroy them. And you use them wisely. Remember, the weak think ruthlessness means doing harm. The strong know it means doing what must be done, even when it hurts, even when no one understands. It means saying no when the world demands yes. It means walking alone when the crowd walks blind. It means building in silence while others speak loudly of plans that will never begin. When you reach this state, you no longer fight the storm, you become it. Your mind becomes the command center of your destiny. Your will, unshakable. Your focus, absolute. People feel it. They sense it in your stillness, in your gaze, in the way you move. You no longer need to prove anything, because your very existence proves everything. The ruthless do not seek followers. They create examples. They live so precisely that their presence becomes instruction. They do not teach by words. They teach by the quiet certainty of who they are. And one day, when the world looks back, when the noise of the ages fades, when the names of pretenders are forgotten, yours will remain, not because you were the loudest, but because you were inevitable. That is the Machiavellian truth. The world does not remember the kind. It remembers the calm. It remembers the one who stood when all others broke. It remembers the one who ruled himself completely. So walk now with purpose. Your silence is a crown. Your patience is a weapon. Your mind is a fortress. And your heart, cold enough to stay steady, warm enough to build an empire that will never fall. At some point, power no longer feels like conquest. It feels like silence. The same hunger that once drove you now obeys you. The same pain that once controlled you now serves you. You have realized something few ever will, that ruthlessness was never about destroying others. It was about refusing to destroy yourself every time you chose discipline over impulse. Every time you stayed calm when others panicked. Every time you kept walking when the world told you to stop. You carved another line of strength into your soul. Now you stand at the edge of everything you once feared, and it does not move you. The noise of the crowd, the betrayal of friends, the loss, the chaos, they have become your teachers. Pain has become your compass. Failure has become your map. Its stillness has become your throne. This is where most people break. They look into the abyss and see darkness. But you see reflection. You see what you are made of. You see that the abyss was never your enemy. It was your mirror. And the moment you stopped fearing it, it stopped ruling you. Understand this. The ruthless do not hate the world. They understand it. They know that cruelty is woven into the fabric of life, and instead of weeping about it, they learn to move through it with grace. They know that power attracts envy, that truth invites attack, that greatness isolates, and still, they choose to walk forward. Because power is not comfort. It is responsibility. It is the burden of seeing reality as it is and acting anyway. It is the patience to let time reveal what emotion would destroy. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. To survive, you must be both. The mind of the fox, cunning, aware, invisible. The heart of the lion, courageous, decisive, unafraid. Together they form the complete human, intelligent enough to plan, strong enough to act. So when the world tests you again, and it will, do not ask for an easier path. Ask for sharper vision. Ask for colder blood. Ask for the calmness to stand where others run. Because the world only breaks those who still think it should be fair. You, however, know better. You do not expect mercy. You expect reality, and that makes you unstoppable. You have become what Machiavelli called a prince of your own nature, a ruler not of land, but of self, a master not of people, but of time. You no longer need to conquer kingdoms. You carry one within you, and in that kingdom, nothing moves without your permission. That is where the true ruthless live, not in the shadows of cruelty, but in the light of control, calm, focused, untouchable. And so you begin to understand, the end was never to win, but to become worthy of winning. The crown is not gold, it is self-command. The throne is not built of stone, it is built of silence. Power, real power, lives where emotion used to live. Every time you choose reason over reaction, every time you wait when others rush, every time you turn pain into focus, you strengthen the invisible empire within. Look back for a moment. The person you once were could not have survived this path. That version lived on approval, on comfort, on noise. You have buried them with honor. You have built someone new in their place, someone who no longer needs to be seen to exist. Now, when you enter a room, you do not announce yourself. The air changes. People sense something they cannot name. It is not arrogance. It is gravity. You have become the calm center that chaos bends around. Understand this final lesson. Ruthlessness is not the absence of mercy, it is the mastery of mercy. You decide when to forgive, when to punish, when to act, when to wait. You do not react to the world reacts to you. And when the years pass, and time tests what you've built, it will find that it cannot move you, because you are no longer part of the storm, you are its silence. So walk slowly, speak rarely, think deeply, move only when it matters. Let your strength be quiet, your kindness deliberate, your will unbreakable. That is the way of the ruthless. That is the way of those who endure. That is the only way the world will never break you.